When I saw the war, I understood. When you hear the whistle, you need to drop down. I thought war was like in the movies. When I remember, I feel both tears and nerves. I am a volunteer. I have been living in Denmark in Copenhagen since 2000. I was born in Belarus in Minsk. But I don't consider myself Belarusian. And even when I was there, no one considered me Belarusian. My whole family is from Ukraine. My mom married a Dane when I was 15 years old. I was still finishing school, and at 17, I moved to Denmark. I didn't really want to, but I went oddly enough to avoid ending up in the army. And yes, I never thought I would ever want to go to the army. Come visit us in Ukraine. It's nice and relatively safe here. Fire. Everything will be fine. Glory to Ukraine. I wanted to be a musician and became a lead singer. In Denmark, we organized 2 musical bands. We sang covers of popular songs.
Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Feel like knocking on heaven's door. Oh, oh,
I knew the war would start. I sat by the TV until morning when I heard Putin's speech, where he said he was going to kill his neighbors just like Hitler without declaring war at 5 o'clock in the morning. The idea to go to a country at war came to me right away. Immediately, I got involved in volunteer activities in Denmark, meeting refugees. At first, volunteers were needed at train stations, just to give out tea and coffee. The main task was to find housing for refugees. Many Danes gave rooms for free. We helped organize who goes where and communicated between the refugees and the Danes, as well as with refugees from Mariupol who escaped through the green corridors. Some had lost arms or legs. These were people who had really seen war, who broke through from Mariupol, Berdyansk, and Melitopol. These were visibly traumatized people. One woman from Mariupol, with whom we had good contact, lost her leg. Her leg was torn off when she tried to escape from the basement where she had been sitting for a month. But she couldn't get out of Mariupol because heavy shelling started along the way. At that time, there was no communication in Mariupol. There were only rumors about gathering points from where civilians would be evacuated. But these were just rumors that weren't confirmed. As she moved around the city, she ended up in an active combat zone and climbed into a drainage pipe under a bridge. The pipe was already filled to capacity with people. She spent about 5 days sitting in that pipe. If someone in the far corner needed to use the toilet, everyone had to go out. You couldn't even step over anyone to pass through. Everyone had to go out together, and this was happening while bombs were falling outside. I had the urge to come to Ukraine immediately. Volunteering, of course, is necessary, but I felt I could and should do more than just hand out tea at a train station. I first came to Ukraine in the spring of 2022 to deliver a car to Lviv and humanitarian aid to Chernivtsi. I had no idea what war looked like or what was happening. Standing at the border, still on the Polish side, I stared at the horizon toward Ukraine, expecting to see fire and explosions. I thought the war would start right away, just like in the movies, like the capture of Berlin, everywhere destruction, everything burning, blazing. I traveled to Ukraine many times and visited different places within the country. Eventually, we established a route. I bring a car for the front, stop in Kiev where we repair and paint it, and then we gather in a convoy and drive along the front line. Our route was from Kupiansk to Vuhledar, avoiding the most dangerous areas. In total, we had about 10 stops. We delivered humanitarian aid, handed over cars, and took some back for repairs. And it was loud there, very loud. That's when I understood. When you hear the whistle, you drop down. This is the town of Izyum. This is what happens after an airstrike. A third of the house is gone. And this is what the playground looks like. One of our regular stops, where we delivered medical equipment, was the medical point of the 2nd Mechanized Battalion of the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade. The person responsible for medics and their training said, "Do you want to work as a medic? It doesn't take long to learn. A combat medic is trained in 5 days. In reality, medics train continuously, but the basic course is 5 days. Your job is to keep the person alive for the 15 minutes it takes to get from the battlefield to the stabilization point. Stop the bleeding and make sure they can breathe. Basic things aren't that difficult. Plus, I'm a driver." That's how I became a medic in a medical evacuation vehicle. We finally brought an ambulance from Denmark, from Copenhagen. It worked in eastern Ukraine, delivering various necessities to our military. I am happy to hand it over, and I hope it will save more than one life. Thank you. The hardest story is when I joined the medical evacuation vehicle service. And suddenly it turned out that our job also involved the deceased. I thought there was a separate group for that, one that would extract our fallen and not only ours. But one quiet night, we learned that we had to collect the dead from the battlefield. I served for a month and a half. And the commander said, "Go to Denmark for now, take a rest." So I went to Denmark. While I was traveling, everything felt like a haze, like a dream. Carefree people walking around, everything intact, everything colorful. And only after arriving in Denmark did the memories hit me. The ones you brush off as routine on the front lines. But in Denmark, you have time to think it all over, to reconsider it more deeply. When I remembered, the tears would come and my nerves would fray. It was hard. I realized that there is no beautiful or heroic death. And after death, there is nothing. There's only your legacy and the memory you leave behind. The gods, or angels as they call us, are the medics. Everyone prays to the medics to evacuate them quickly. There's no one else to rely on out there. The place I don't want to leave. I can't name it.
Что могу сказать?
But what I can say is that Ukrainian soldiers are the warmest, most kind-hearted, coolest people.
Самые люди на свете. Берегите себя.
Take care of yourselves, guys.
Круто было, честно.
It was an honor to meet you.
Держитесь.
We will definitely win.